40. Look at that move. Look at Chase go. Oh, my goodness. What a gear.
He comes down to this in his car end zone. Intercepted.
McPherson. And Cincinnati is heading to the Super Bowl.
Boss here. Mixon's going to throw. Open man. Caught. Higgins. Touchdown.
Drives. Touchdown. Joe Burrow has his first rushing touchdown of the season.
Good day, Bengal fans. He is Maan. I am Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse, the heartbeat of our Cincinnati Bengals. Maan. We have a lot to unpack in this episode. Before we do, Maan, how has your week been?
It was had a great weekend. Got to spend some time with my daughter. It was parents' weekend at her college at Florida Southern. My daughter Olivia is a senior there, so we had a great weekend with her. Then we came home and got ready to watch the Bengal game last night, and we know what happened, and we're going to talk about it. Still wounded, and can't believe they lost. Let's get to it.
This is going to be good therapy. Although you and I got to watch the game together last night. It's for our listeners. When Mon and I watch a game, the Bengals lose, I basically just walk out of your house. It's really sad and terrible. But I'm so heartbroken last night. I was just like, I'll see you later. I just walked out of the house. It was rude. I apologize, but
I'm used to it.
I know you are. No,
For past years.
I know. Yeah, I even went out in your front yard when the Ravens got the ball back with 1:58, and last year it was like the lucky charm. Me watching the last couple minutes of each of those games, those playoff games, in your front yard. I go outside, and the first play is us allowing Lamar Jackson to run for, I don't know, what was it, 18-yard gain that's already put him in field goal range. Just absolutely atrocious. But we will unpack all of that. So we are here. We are here, Bengal fans. We are here. We are going to get through this together. Let's guys, open up the comment sections are open. We want to hear your real thoughts, right? We as Bengal fans, we need to be upset about this. We really do. I mean, this is something that has got to be fixed, and it hasn't been fixed yet. We keep hearing that it's going to be fixed, but it hasn't been fixed yet, and it's okay to be upset about it. Nobody wants Zach Taylor fired. I don't. Mon doesn't. There are probably some fans right now that are feeling that way, but Mon and I don't feel that way. But I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of frustration. And a lot of that frustration, Mon, is real, and there should be frustration. You as Bengal fans should be frustrated with this because we are wasting a incredibly talented team right now. And some people need to be held accountable. They do. I mean, that is the truth in the matter. But we will get to all that, Mon. But we were just talking off the air, episode 25, Mon. This is incredible. Again, we are absolutely loving this. Thank you guys so much for tuning in every week. Mon and I are so appreciative, and you guys are all just awesome. But let's get into this. The Bengals lose 19-17. Mon, Ben Baby text out, I think it was last night or this morning, he texted out that the Bengals are the first team in NFL history to lose 3 games in the first 5 games on the last play of the game. Mon, we have 3 losses, each one of those on the last play of the game. And you know what drives me crazy, Mon, is there are fans out there that are trying to put a positive spin on that. And there's no positive spin on that. The Pittsburgh Steelers, Mon, are the worst team in the NFL. They are literally the worst team in the entire NFL. So I don't care how we lost to them. Losing to that team is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And the other two teams that we lost to are not as good as the Bengals. That is unacceptable, Mon. I don't care how you lose a game, whether it's the last play of the game or not. You should not be okay with that, fans. Right now, we as Bengal fans, our expectations should be extremely high for this football team. We should not accept mediocrity. We just shouldn't. There's no reason for it, Mom. What do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot to process there. Listen, Jake, I agree with you. I want to harp on something before I get into it. Listen, being frustrated, bringing up legitimate concerns, legitimate questions about play calls does not make you a hater. It makes you a real fan.
Exactly.
All right? It's okay to show some frustration. I don't want Zach Taylor fired. And these people on Twitter that keep on saying these things, it drives me bananas. Listen, they lost a game, questionable calls, very questionable. Things that, listen, the Bengals went to the Super Bowl last year. They have a very, very good NFL roster. They shouldn't be losing these games. I'm diving into the stats of the season. It's unbelievable. Our defense, we haven't given up a second half touchdown all year.
I know, it's
all
crazy.
year. It is unbelievable. And somehow we're 2-3. Listen, the Steeler game, I agree with you, Jake. I'm trying to move on from it, but those 5 turnovers killed us. And to me, that shows how bad
sacks.
the Steelers are. Yeah, that shows how bad the Steelers really are. They had 7 sacks and 5 turnovers, and a busted a third string long snapper, or third team tight end that had to fill in as a long snapper was the reason we lost the game, because we should have had a walk-off kick and extra point, and that game was over. But that shows you how bad the Steelers are. They had that turnover differential, all those sacks, and they still couldn't put us away. But, listen, we got to move on. I want to talk. The game last night was absolutely maddening. I can't begin to tell you how frustrated I am. We only had 3 possessions in the second half. I can't believe that. And it's just, we had multiple 3-and-outs in the first quarter. We have just got to get more consistent. We got to get better play from our offense. And I will say this, our defense did show some
better
cracks
play
last night.
calling. And better play calling.
Absolutely. And we're not haters out there, okay? But the absence of DJ Reader did hurt us last night. The Ravens had 150 yards rushing, and that's the one game where I wish he was there, because I think he would have made a difference there.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And let's not forget, too, Mon, go back to the defensive stat. The Bengals defense has only given up 5 touchdowns all year.
I know.
That's insane.
I know.
It is insane. And we're 2-3. We are 2-3, and we've only given up 5 touchdowns. 1 touchdown a game, and we're 2-3. It's ridiculous, Mon. And it all goes back to this offense and the play calling. It is atrocious. It is atrocious. But we'll get to all that. Let's get to some off. Oh, and one more thing. That Steeler game. Let's not forget that the drive before what should have been the game-winning drive, we had the ball on the 2-yard line once again and didn't score on 4 downs, Mon.
No.
Don't forget that. We talked about it last week on this show. Our red zone offense is atrocious. Our short yardage offense is atrocious. It's got to be fixed. Okay. All right. Let's
I got a headache.
Already.
You're killing me again.
Listen, we're only 10 minutes into the show, Mon.
Eighth cup of coffee.
Take your medicine. Is Alexa got you on? Did you take your medicine? Did Alexa
disconnected? Yeah.
Oh, that's a problem. All right, here we go. Burrow last night, 24 of 35, 217 yards, Mon. This Baltimore Ravens defense is awful. They are awful. They gave up 500 yards in the previous 2 games. 217 yards passing, 1 touchdown pass, an absolutely awful interception. that we will get to by Joe Burrow. Mixon, 14 carries, 78 yards. Should have been 15 or 16 carries by Mixon once we got down to the 2-yard line. He had 3 receptions for 10 yards. His longest rush last night was 12 yards, so 5 yards more than last week. That's not bad. Jamar Chase, 7 catches for 50 yards. Tyler Boyd, 3 for 32. Hayden Hurst, 6 for 53 and 2 touchdowns in a touchdown in 2 consecutive weeks for him. P. Ryan, 4 big catches for 39 yards. I like the way P. Ryan played last night. Your guy, Mike Thomas, big reception, 1 for 33. And obviously the big news last night that nobody was really aware of and everybody was confused about because T was on the sideline with his helmet, ready to go, and did not play in that football game. Defensively, Jermaine Pratt, leading tackler for the second week in a row with 8 tackles. He also had a sack. Logan Wilson, Von Bell, each with 7 tackles. Von Bell with another interception, becoming quite the ball hawk back there. Jesse Bates and Cheeto, both with 6 tackles. And Chris Evans gets his first kickoff returns of the year. He had 2 returns for 54 yards, a 27-yard average. Not too shabby for Chris Evans. And Evan McPherson, 1 for 1, and probably should have been 2 for 2 if we go ahead and kick that field goal. Mon, let's first of all, talk about the stats real quick. Anything that jumps off that page to you?
Nah, it's just pretty blah. I did like the rushing of Mixon and P. Ryan. They averaged over 5 yards per carry. That was a relief. They looked really good. I'm telling you, P. Ryan looks like a bowling ball out there. When he gets moving, look out. And again, that we're going to talk about the series, the 4 plays at the inside the 5 that led to no points. We're going to talk about 0 rushes on that, by the way. No, but the rushing game looked a lot better. I can't believe, like, Tyler Boyd was nowhere to be found last night, except on that Philly option play where he got sacked. But they need to target him more. He's one of the best slot receivers in football. He just disappeared. I'm just trying to figure out our offense. I mean, Jake, I think I mentioned this last night. They don't seem to have a flow. I can't figure it out. It's like they're all over the place.
I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, but I talked about this 2 shows ago. It's like watching somebody throw darts at a dartboard. This offense has no identity at all. There's no identity. What is our offense?
There is no flow. And I'm telling you, I know, like, me and you joke around about being team defense, team offense, and all this stuff. Let's just talk. I mean, this isn't about trying to get points or anything like that. This offense had multiple 3-and-outs. That's unacceptable.
It's unacceptable.
Do that. And they're too good that have multiple 3-and-outs. And listen, I did hear this on another podcast today. So, I mean, I'm not trying to copy them. It was Rapine and Liskow. I listened to Locked On. They brought up a just excellent point. Joe Burrow, really, he just doesn't look right. Okay? Is it the play of the offensive line? Does he feel rushed? To me, physically, he still looks like he's trying to put on weight from the appendectomy. He just doesn't look physically like the Joe Burrow of last year. And I know he went through a lot. Listen, developing sepsis potentially from that, from the appendicitis. That's a serious thing. He's still recovering from it. But, a couple of those long balls, I mean, they just look like they were just floating up there. He doesn't look like the Joe Burrow of last year. Maybe it's a combination of the offensive line play, the play calling, and maybe physically he's just not there yet. Maybe it's going to take a few more weeks. But the offense, they don't have an identity. They are all over the place. They had 2 really good drives last night, and they're 15-play drives. One of them, they got no points. I can't believe you have a 15-play drive and you don't score any points. I mean, how is that possible in the NFL? It's just absolutely unbelievable. Things started to roll a little bit when the run game picked up in the second half. P. Ryan came in, he had a couple good screen passes where he just converted a couple 3rd downs. That was great to see. Hayden Hurst, listen, sign that guy to a multi-year contract. He's the real deal. He shows a lot of heart, and I love that because, man, his emotion. I mean, that Bengals offense needs that. They need more of that. I've said it on previous podcasts. Once they get that right, I mean, the Bengals are going to go on a run 5, 6, 7 games in a row. I just don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen.
Mom. I don't know either. And let's go back to the Joe Burrow situation because, you're right. He doesn't look right. But I'm going to tell you right now, man, as a quarterback, you have got your offensive coordinator has got to put you into a flow. He has got to get you where, you start out and you're feeling comfortable with the offense. We talked about this in that Steelers game in opening week. We come out 5 wide and we're chucking it downfield, and Burrow hadn't even played a snap all preseason. Last night, I did like how we started the game, right? We get some quick right now screens, kind of get Joe into the flow of the game, and then we just go away from it. And then it's just check down to the running back. I mean, that's not an offense. I understand we're seeing a lot more zone defense, and in zone defense, when you got guys, you're dropping 2 to 4 guys, whether it's cover 2 or quarters like a cover 4, you're dropping those defenders, but there's still some underneath stuff. There's got to be. You have to find cover 2 beaters. You have to find quarters beaters. And we just can't check down to the running back every play. That's not an offense. It's just not an offense. And the other thing is, this offense it's so predictable. I mean, you almost know when the Bengals are going to run the football. Last week I'm sitting with my wife, and my wife, I mean, being the wife of a head football coach, she is very knowledgeable when it comes to football. She loves the game, and she's very much into the play calling and the intricacies of the offense and the defense. But my wife will sit there and just say, they're running the football here. They're throwing the ball here. They're running the ball here. I mean, it's so predictable. Even someone that's not like a crazy fan, obsessed fan like you and I, or even someone that just knows football and understands football, it's so predictable. Everybody knows what's coming, Mon. I mean, the Bengals have got to find a way to be creative. And you know what? It's not the Philly special. It's not a shovel pass. Those plays are not creative. They're not, especially on the goal line. When teams understand that those are plays that are being run by everyone now. But this offense, part of Joe's problem, I feel, is that he's just not comfortable with the play calling. It's not putting him in any type of a flow to the football game. And, it's a shame too, because you got a guy last year that, was throwing the football downfield, and, we were getting nice big chunk plays, and we've got some chunk plays this year, but, man, they have got to figure out a way to beat these zone defenses that we're seeing. Last year we saw a lot of man stuff. This year we're seeing a lot of zone. It was zone all night last night. They got to find a way, Mon. They have to find a way to beat those coverages.
The first quarter of the season, all we heard was cover 2. Teams are going to play the Bengals that way. They're not going to give up the big play. Okay, well, you know what? It's up to Taylor, Callahan, Pitcher, all these guys to find ways to beat it. And guess what? We're in the 5th game of the season, and they're still struggling. It's up to this staff that took us to a Super Bowl last year to find a solution to that problem. Jake, I'm going to tell you something. You make fun of my age. I am old. I'll be the first to admit it. I remember the last decade. I even remember games. I honestly remember games from the 70s. Yeah, I was young, but I do remember games of the 70s. I can honestly tell you that cluster of 4
when you
plays
say
last
young,
night.
When you say young, you mean like young 30s?
No, shut up. No, but I do remember some games from the 70s. But I will say this, that cluster of plays last night, those 4 plays where we didn't get any points, the Philly special and the shovel pass and all that, that's going to go down as probably top 5 worst Bengal memories of my life. I just cannot believe that. Listen, In the second half, we were running the ball effectively, over 5 yards per carry. We have a bowling ball, a 240-pound running back. Not even one run play. I listened to Dave Lapham on his podcast, and you could just tell of course he's a Bengal employee. He's a Bengal homer. He loves the Bengals. He's a wonderful, when it comes to knowledge, he's off the charts. You could tell in his voice how unhappy he was. He kept
I'm
it
sure.
classy. You could just tell, he can't believe they didn't run one play. Everybody's talking about it on Twitter. We're talking about it. Absolutely way too cute. Way too cute. Listen, Zach Taylor and that staff, they deserve a lot of criticism for lots of things, but those 4 plays were absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah.
Okay. And, the one play where Hayden Hurst, listen, I think he was held. You're not going to get all those calls. The play before they got a penalty for defensive holding, they're not going to throw it
That's
2
fair.
plays in a row or pass it, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the 3 plays after that were a certified cluster. I'm not going to say the word. It was horrible. You can't make it up. You can't make it up.
Well, I mean,
And,
I don't. Again, I'm not trying to harp on this, but the Bengals now have lost 4 out of the last 6 games, and that's including the Super Bowl. And all 4 of those games, Mon, were lost on play calling. They were. I mean, there's no other way to sugarcoat it. There's just not. I mean, you can talk about players executing and doing all these type of things, but you as coaches have got to put guys in positions to make plays. And the play calling in the Super Bowl was questionable, and the play calling this year has been absolutely atrocious. It's completely unacceptable. And even in the games we won, it's bad. I mean, listen, Zach Taylor is a great leader of men. He is. I still believe that he is a great head coach. He is not an offensive coordinator. He is not a play caller, and he's just not. He's just not. And as a head coach, when you are having this kind of issue, you have to fix it. And sometimes fixing it is to step down and find somebody else that can do it. And I know he said this week that it's play calling by committee. You can't have 4 guys calling offensive plays. You just can't. You can't at any level. You can't at the high school level, in college. You can't have 4 guys calling offensive plays. You just can't. There's no wonder why Joe Burrow, there's no flow to the game. There's just there's no flow to this offense. There's no identity. You got 4 different guys with their hands in the pot here trying to call plays. And you can see it on the field. That's why it looks like somebody's throwing darts at a dartboard.
Yeah.
Pick somebody and let them call plays. It does not need to be Zach Taylor. I don't give Callahan a shot. Just let Callahan call plays. Let's roll with it. Let's see what happens, because somebody has got to take that job and run with it and find a way to get all of these weapons that we have on offense the ball. It's absolutely unacceptable that you have this talented of a roster and every week we're right around 300 total yards, maybe. I mean, I might be pushing that, but that's what it kind of seems about average-wise.
Yeah, I think the latest stats with Bengals are about 17th in the NFL in offense, points scored. Listen, he's a wonderful leader of men. He's a great communicator.
Absolutely.
Listen, he's the perfect head coach.
Absolutely.
All right, but maybe he does have too much on his plate. Maybe it's good for him to allocate more of the offensive chores to somebody else. Maybe he has. I don't know. But listen, we have a pretty decent sample size, and some of the play calls have been absolutely questionable. And listen, we're 2-3. That's a big reason why we're 2-3.
It is the reason we're 2-3.
I hope we get it fixed soon, because listen, we have a bye week in 4 weeks. Bengals need to win 3 of the next 4, if not 4 of the next 4. We can't go. We're 0-2 in the division. That's an absolute killer. We were 4-2 last year in our division. We got the Browns in a couple weeks. Listen, this team, I can tell you something. I'll say it right now. We beat the Steelers. We beat the Ravens the next time we play them. Done deal. It's happening. We just got to find a way to beat the team that for some reason we haven't matched up well against. We got to beat the Browns. We got to get at least 3 to 4 wins in our division, because that could come back to haunt us down the road with tiebreakers.
Mon, you know what's really hard about this is our division is not good. The Steelers are the worst team in the NFL. They're the worst team in the NFL. It's not even close. It's really not. We might be their only win this year. They are awful. They are awful. Yeah. Their offense is awful. Their defense is awful. And we lost to those clowns at home. Yeah. The Ravens, Mon, the Ravens are not good. They are not good. Their defense is awful. It is awful. We have lost to 2 extremely poor football teams.
If anybody would have told you that the Bengals would hold the Ravens to 19 points in Baltimore, you would take that in a second. You would take that in a second. And to only score 17 points in that game, so unacceptable. We left at least 10 points on the field. Listen, I know you're saying about the Cowboys. Listen, the Cowboys have a generational player that took over.
They're solid. They're solid. Listen, you go in there, you play. Right now they have the best defense in football. They do. They have the best defense in football. And you go into their house, you play. I mean, that game. Okay, I completely. I understand that. You know, you're not going to win.
We still should have won it. We could have won it easily.
Oh yeah, we still should have. But you're not going to win them all. You know. No. But we should be 4-1 right now. And there's no way to sugarcoat that. That's what drives me nuts. Everybody, these fans on Twitter, it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable losing to bad football teams. There is nothing acceptable about that. It's just not. You cannot accept mediocrity. This team is a Super Bowl caliber team. It still is. It is one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. We have, and again, I know I'm going to keep saying it. Give me Joe Burrow over any other quarterback in the NFL. You just got to know how to use them. And the Bengals do not understand that yet. They just don't. Last year we were seeing a lot of man stuff. Man stuff is, it's very easy to beat at any level of football. Now you have to adjust. And we have not adjusted in 5 weeks. We have not adjusted to zone defense. It is driving me nuts. Checking down to a running back is not an offense.
You have to give the staff credit. They tried to use Joe Burrow as a wide receiver last night, okay? And it didn't work out.
Well, I know you're trying to make a joke, but I am not in a joking mood with this.
No,
listen. Let's talk about. Let's talk about
the Saints.
Not yet. Okay. No, I am not going on to the Saints yet. First of all, let's talk about that series, okay? Because it needs to be talked about. It really does. And again, as fans, it's important that you get this off of your chest. You need to. We as fans, as true fans, we need to stay together. We need to stick together and talk about these things. But let's talk about this. There's 10 minutes left in the football game, right? Mm-hmm. We're down 13-10. You're on the road against a division opponent in a game that you really have to win. I mean, last night, again, you can't sugarcoat it any other way. That's a big game, Mom. We are 0-2 in the division. Last night was a game and a half. That cost us a game and a half. That's huge. That is huge. So all those things considering, we get the pass interference call to Hayden Hurst. Ball's on the 2-yard line. All right. First play, they try to run that pick play that everybody runs in the NFL. It's about a 50-50 play, right? I mean, as far as completing that ball, it's a 50-50. Was Hayden Hurst held? Yeah, he was held, but like you said, you're not going to get all those calls. I'm okay with that play. First down from the 2-yard line, throw the pick play. The Bengals did. It didn't work. Second down, Mon. Second down. Now, let's fast forward to the play, the touchdown that we scored to take the lead with 2 minutes left. Quarterback sneak, right? Quarterback sneak from the 1-yard line. Joe Burrow would have easily walked in, same situation from the 2, because he got 2 or 3 yards after he was pushed into the end zone. Mon, they run the Philly special on second down. On second down, your play that you call in that big moment of the game is a trick play. And not only is it a trick play, but listen, Joe Burrow is an incredible athlete, but do we really want our elite, maybe best quarterback in the NFL running a route? Again, I've talked about this week after week. Why are we taking the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands? Right? If you're going to throw the ball, let Joe Burrow throw the ball. Not Tyler Boyd. I love Tyler Boyd. He doesn't need to be throwing the ball. And on that play, Mon, as you saw, there's really, if they cover Joe Burrow, there's not a lot of options on that play. You run the football on second down. You run the football, right? You get a yard. Now it's third and goal from the 1. They lose 12 yards, Mon. 12 yards.
Throw the ball away, Tyler Boyd. Throw it away. He didn't even.
But don't run that play, Mon.
Well, they ran it, but what I'm trying to say is,
I know
there was nothing going on there. Throw the freaking ball away, and but no, he didn't.
But Tyler Boyd's not a quarterback, Mon. He's not a quarterback. He doesn't.
It's fundamental football, though.
I know, but you're putting a guy in a position that doesn't play that position. You're thinking he's going to make that decision in that moment. He's not going to do that.
Play call. It was a stupid play call.
It's one of the worst play calls. It ranks right up there to me with the Seahawks not giving the ball to Marshawn Lynch in the Super Bowl and trying to throw the ball from the 2-yard line. That's where it ranks as one of the worst play calls that I have ever seen in 41 years of watching football. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. So then, Mon, on third down, we pick those 12 yards back up, right? Nice little bang 8 to Jamar Chase, little skinny post there. Gets us down to the 2-yard line, right? Now it's fourth down and goal from the 2. Here we go. To me, Mon, in that situation on the road, you kick the field goal. Your defense has been playing lights out. Lights out. You kick the field goal. You do. Now, I know fans are going to say, well, it's not that I care that they win for it. It's the play call, yada, yada, yada. Take the points. Have you not learned from Coach Harbaugh? How many times has that guy lost the Baltimore Ravens a game because he doesn't take the points? How many times? Who was the coach we were talking about the other day that does
the Chargers?
The coach for the Chargers. Yeah. Oh my God! How many games did that guy cost the Chargers last year? Just doing crazy stuff. This is the NFL. This is a multi-million-dollar business. These guys are trying. You're trying to win championships. I'm okay with being aggressive every once in a while, but in that moment, in that time, you've only scored 10 points. Kick the field goal. They don't kick the field goal.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mom.
In hindsight, you're right. Kicking the field goal, they would have needed to score a touchdown on that last drive. In hindsight, you're absolutely right. But at the time, I'm not going to lie to you, I appreciated the aggressiveness. But again, you just mentioned it. I didn't expect the most ridiculous play calls in the history of the NFL. That's hyperbole, but still, it was a horrible play. It was horrible. It was horrible play calling. I didn't mind it.
It's not, Mom. It's not, Mom, because I'm gonna tell you that
it was bad.
That Philly special, I rank that right up there with one of the worst play calls that I've ever seen. Well, guess what? That fourth down play call is the worst call I have ever witnessed in my 41 years of watching Bengal football. That is the worst call I have ever witnessed.
Jake, let me ask you a question. After that play, he started chasing Lael Collins on the sideline to coach him up, okay? I think he knew he screwed up because I'm going to tell you.
He 100% did.
This is the eyeball test. If Lael Collins came around and tried to clear a hole for Stanley Morgan wasn't going to get in. I didn't care if they had 2 blockers there. He wasn't going to get in. That play was blown up, Collins or not. If Collins blocked it doesn't matter. He wasn't going to score. And I think, personally, that was frustration on Taylor trying to deflect, personally. That's what I think.
I think I agree with you 110%. You can't blame players for play calling. And so let's dive into that play, because I love that play call on first down, right? A shovel pass. The percentage of executing that play to perfection is extremely difficult. For anyone that's ever coached football that has installed a shovel pass play, there's a lot of stuff going on there. First of all, you are throwing the football into the middle of the defensive front, right? And a lot of the time, there's a lot of traffic going on in there, okay? But a lot of teams will do that. They'll speed motion that back flat, bring them back across the formation, and then they'll either GT pull it, like guard tackle pull it, and shovel the pass through. That percentage of completing that play is so low, Mon. It's so low. And you're telling me that is your 4th down play? Not only that, but listen, you and I are Stanley Morgan fans. That guy is our best special teams player. I absolutely love him. I love Stanley Morgan Jr. You have the best receiver in football, and you are putting the ball in the hands of our 5th, 6th string receiver? I mean, it's absolutely it blows my mind. I can't even wrap my mind around it.
The staff got way too cute. I mean, listen, I agree with everything you're saying. The bottom line is this: they got way too cute. The reason they threw the ball to Stanley Morgan, the Ravens, nobody thought Stanley Morgan was even going to come close to touching the ball. Hey, man, we're going to pull one on them. We're going to give it to our 5th wide receiver. Guess what? They knew it was coming. They knew it was coming.
Do that play on first down. Like I said,
I hear you, man.
It's such a low percentage play that you run that stuff on first down, and if it doesn't work, okay, it doesn't work. But you're not even giving your quarterback, again, Joe Burrow is going to be a future Hall of Famer. He is. He's going to be a future Hall of Famer. That's not a homer thing. He is. He's elite. He's, I think, the best quarterback in the NFL, and you can't really argue it. I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. But you're not even giving your quarterback an option on that play. There's only one option on that play. It's your 5th string receiver. And you're throwing it into the meat of the formation. It's absolutely it's awful. It's just, I hear you. It's just crazy. It's crazy. I can't. And again, this is something. This is the problem, Mon. Is it's not being fixed, right? If it was something where it was a week-to-week thing, and we're like, okay, we're starting to see some progression here. We're starting to see progression here. But I'll be honest with you, the Bengal players, they're bailing out that coaching staff. They are bailing them out week after week. Those players are so talented, Mon, that they are bailing out that coaching staff because of the awful play calling that's involved. And I do want to say this. Because I've really been hard on the offense. Our defense has played extremely well. It is a bend but don't break defense. We all know that as fans. We do. We give up the yardage, especially through the air. Last week, I think I said, what were they, 19th, 20th, something like that. We give up yards. That defense, the defense that was run on that last drive, was absolutely unacceptable. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable with 2 minutes left in the football game that you let a football team run zone read all the way down the field to get in field goal range. All the way down. Lamar Jackson is not good throwing the ball in the pocket. The Bengals playing prevent allowed that football team to go right down the field running zone read, zone read. The Ravens were in field goal. I mean, they were positioned for a field goal with a minute left. It took them 59 seconds to get into field goal range.
Jake, hold on. Jake, the score was 17-16 with a minute and 58 seconds left. I knew right there they weren't going to win the game.
Yeah.
With that kicker that they have, they kick in the end zone. They literally need 30, 35 yards. If you really think the Bengal defense was going to contain them for 25, 30 yards, it wasn't going to happen. The only way we were going to win that game was to get a turnover. Jermaine Pratt almost came up with it. That was we were not going to. That guy kicked a 58-yard field goal earlier. Would have been good from over 60. All they needed to do was get the ball to the 45, 40, and the game was over.
Well,
now, listen,
but you have to choose. You have to choose. You have to make a decision. Are we going to let this football team? Are we going to make this team throw the football from the pocket? You can make them choose. The Bengals didn't even make them choose. They ran the football, man. They threw two. What did they throw? Two passes? Two passes in that final drive?
Let me give you my frustration. Let me give you my frustration with the defense. And trust me, I am frustrated. The only weapon they have is Andrews. And Duvernay is a decent player, very fast. Okay? I'm not saying he's a bad player. But, he's still developing as a pro. Okay? He has some very special traits. But listen, their tight end is special. Listen, Zim brought it up. Other people brought it up. Why don't they bracket him and keep him from touching the ball? He had 2 catches on that drive, or 1 at least. And he converted. That's what upset me the most. Hey, man, put Bates, put Flowers, put whoever you need on him. Don't let that guy touch the ball. Have their third-string tight end, their rookie, whatever his name is, Likely, have him be the one make the play. That's what frustrated me the most about the defense. And it wasn't just on the last drive. When he scored that touchdown, come on, man. He's the only weapon they have out there when it comes to catching the ball.
The drive before that, we go for it. We don't get it. We have them pinned on the 2-yard line. We let them drive 92 yards. 92 yards. Go ahead.
3rd and 7, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. We talk about it all the time. That's what frustrated me. I think they were in 3rd and 7 converted. 3rd and 6 they converted. 3rd and 7. Make these guys punt. Listen, after that, I was so frustrated about those horrible play calls we just spent 20 minutes talking about. I wasn't too concerned. I'm like, hey, man, we're going to get good field position, make these guys punt. We'll get the ball about the 50. Didn't happen. They got a field goal out of it. And
92 yards.
Yeah, I know. It's
92
crazy.
yards.
I got a headache. Let's talk about the Saints. I'm begging you.
Let's talk. Let's talk about the Saints. Saints, Andy Dalton. Are we going to see Andy Dalton? It looks like we're going to see Andy Dalton and Taysom Hill. The Hill-Dalton show down in New Orleans. An offense right now that is extremely banged up. It's going to be interesting to see if Mike Thomas plays against us. But this football team is, this New Orleans team is banged up right now. So it's going to be interesting to see what team shows up. Obviously, they have some weapons. Defensively, they are not very good. And again, this is an opportunity for the Bengals coaching staff to get this offense going this week against a below average New Orleans defense.
I agree with you. If Geno Smith had played a hell of a game yesterday and, they ended up losing, but if Geno Smith can turn in those statistics, I think Joe Burrow can too. And listen, our offense has got to show up. Yeah, he should. Our offense needs to show up this game because I'm going to tell you, we talked about DJ Reader not being in there and how, listen, the Ravens had a quiet 150, but that 150 was huge. All right.
Oh, yeah.
The Saints had 235 yards rushing yesterday. 235 yards rushing. It's coming. Hill is their backup quarterback. He's a running back. He's just a jack of all trades. He's going to get the ball. Kamaro's going to get the ball. Melvin Ingram. Oh, man, I will tell you what, not having DJ Reader is a killer. But listen, that defensive line, that defense has got to show up. And listen, I need that offense let's help the defense out because I'm going to tell you, New Orleans is going to score some points. We have to score more than 24 points. Let's make it happen. Burrow and Chase, you're back in Louisiana. Let's put on a show. Let's get to 30 this week.
Well,
Bengals have got to win this game.
And Dalton, they do absolutely. And Dalton. I'm a Dalton. I've always liked Andy Dalton. As far as his talent goes, I mean, obviously he's not the most talented quarterback around, but he can win you football games, and he takes care of the football pretty well. But we know from watching Andy Dalton, all you got to do is put pressure on him. I mean, you put pressure on Andy Dalton and get him uncomfortable in the pocket, he struggles, Mon. He struggled for years with us. He struggles with any team that has any kind of a pass rush. Mon, we have got to get to the quarterback. We had another game this week where we had one sack, and that came from a linebacker. That defensive line has got to put – now, again, don't get me wrong, Trey and Sam had a sack taken away from him last night, but Trey and Sam, they're getting
close.
there. They're getting there.
Hendrickson twice, real close.
They're pressuring, but you got to land it. You got to get there, and hopefully, they don't hit Andy too hard like the Falcons did with Tom Brady yesterday. Did you see that terrible? Did that not bring back memories of that Tampa Bay Bengal game where Justin Smith got called for roughing the passer on a sack, and it cost us the playoffs, Mon?
Sure did.
That loss cost us a chance to get into the playoffs. We win that football game. Remember, that was on 4th down, Mon. We win that football game, and the Bengals go to the playoffs that year.
Do you remember about that play? Adam Shine was on NFL radio at the time. He's one of the big hosts of one of the shows, and he said that was the worst play call, worst officiating call of the year that year. That Justin Smith.
It was terrible.
Absolutely. The Bengals were going to win that game, and then it gave the Bucs another opportunity. They ended up scoring, and I was just like you, Bruce Gradkowski.
Mon, I was at that game. And obviously, I was all Bengaled out, and I'm walking, and you and I were both there, but we did not know each other at that time, right?
Right.
But I was at that game, Mon, and walking out of that stadium, not one Buccaneer fan said anything to me. There was no trash talking. They all knew there was nothing to say because that was one of the worst officiating calls I have ever seen in my life until yesterday when Tom Brady gets basically laid on the ground and you get a roughing the passer call.
They're very similar plays. They're very similar plays. Yeah.
Very similar plays. And you know what's crazy is, in that Justin Smith play, it was that was years ago before you had all this, let's really protect the quarterback like it is
2006.
2006. Yep, 2006. And again, you started seeing that right around that time frame where they really want to protect the quarterback, but not like it is now where good Lord. What else? Who's the Falcon guy? Grady
Jarrett.
Yeah, Grady Jarrett. I mean, what else do you want that guy to do? I mean, pick him up and lay him in his crib? Good Lord. That was awful.
Yeah.
That was awful. Listen, Tom Brady has made that choice to play at 46 years old. He's made that choice.
Yeah.
Don't treat the elderly any different than you would treat anybody else. I mean, good Lord, that was terrible. But listen, you nailed it. I mean, the Bengals have got to win this football game. And I'll be honest with you, Mon. They need to win the next 4 games because they have four winnable games coming up that they have got to win. They've got to win.
You picked, if I'm not mistaken, you picked this game as a loss at the prediction.
I did. But I'm not taking it as a loss now.
No. They have, they do have some good defensive players. Listen, the Bengals better bring their lunch pail. And
but I also thought we were going to be 5-0 right now.
I hear you, but I will say this, though. The one thing about our Bengals, when they have a bad loss, they're pretty resilient. They become pretty focused. I expect them to play a good game this week. Jake, listen, if they win their next 4 games, I know we're jumping way ahead. This stress that we're feeling now, this this anger, it's going to disappear because they'll be 6-3 at the break. All right, 5-4 is okay. I'd rather be 6-3 at the break. We got a couple winnable games outside the break, and then you know what? Listen, man, the Bills are coming to town. We got to play in Tampa. We got to play Kansas City. We got some blue bloods coming in, and we got to win these games right now. And
we can't afford, Mon. We can't afford in a year where our division is just atrocious. I mean, Cleveland Browns, you just gotta laugh at that team. I mean, it's a clown show. How do you as Bengal fans, we've seen some real crazy losses. I don't think I've ever seen anything like the way the Cleveland Browns lost yesterday. It was just absolutely insane.
yeah,
The
listen,
Chargers give them a layup, and they still can't close the deal. This division we play in, Mon. This is probably the worst that I can remember the AFC North being in years. I mean, I don't remember the AFC North being this weak in maybe decades. The Bengals can't afford not to win the division on a year where this division is so just piss poor. It's awful.
I know you listen. You make fun of me a lot because my views on the Browns and their roster.
Yeah, you're
listen.
ridiculous.
I get it. I'm glad they lost. I'm glad they lost. I want them to lose every game. But Jake, we don't match up well against them. We just don't, and it shows. 6 of the last 7. I'm not counting the last game last year, but we don't match up well against them. We just don't. And listen, I'm nervous about that game. But that's a game we got to win. We can't be 0-3 in the division. But let's just focus on the Saints. Let's just focus on the Saints right now. One game at a time. One game at a time. Let's get to our predictions. Let's do it.
Here we go. Ready?
Yep.
Here we go. Steelers Buccaneers. I mean, let's just be real. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they're not going to win a game at least for the next 5 weeks that I can see. This is going to be another drumming. I mean, how awesome was it yesterday to just watch them be dismantled? This Pittsburgh Steelers team is just absolutely atrocious. And I think yesterday, how many times did I text yesterday? I can't believe we lost to this crappy team, to you and Ace and Zim. I mean, it's hard for me. It's hard for me to watch them every week. It's hard for me to watch them every week and not text that at least 12 times on Sunday. Buccaneers, Steelers. Mon, who do you got?
Okay, I think this is going to be a respectable game for the Steelers. I think the Buccaneers win 31-8.
I was about to say, this is going to be a blowout.
It's going to be, I'm going to say 31-8, an odd score. I think the Steelers get a safety on the third-string quarterback of the Buccaneers. I just listen.
How did we lose to them, Mon?
The Steelers
How did we lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers? It's unbelievable.
They got some good players, but they're just out of whack right now. Tampa Bay wins easily.
I got Buccaneers winning 28-6 over the Steelers. 28-6. All right, Patriots, Browns. Mon, who you got?
You know what? I think the Browns are in turmoil. I think all these close losses are sort of gnawing away at them. I don't think they have that mental toughness. I'm going to take the Pats on this. I think they're the better coach. The coach is going to win it. Belichick is something else. That team is just really I don't think they have the best talent in the NFL, but they're very they're a hard out. Let's put it that way. They're hard to beat. They're very hard to beat.
And we got to go. We got to go to Foxborough and play them. By the way.
And one thing I like about Belichick, he takes away your best player, Chubb. He's gonna take him away, and he still might get 75, 80 yards. But that's better than 200. Yep. And he's going to find a way to minimize him, and they're going to win the game. I got that 17-13 Patriots.
Wow. I have the Patriots beating the Browns 17-14. Okay. So I have the over. I have the over on 13. 17-14 Patriots, I agree. The Browns are they're a clown show. They're terrible. Ravens, Giants. Who you got, Mom?
Okay, I got the Wink Martindale revenge tour
Yes,
The
I like
Giants
it.
beat the Giants. Came back. They played a great game against the Packers. Very emotional. Dayball's doing a good job. They're pretty feisty.
Yes.
They're fun to watch. I like watching them. Never been a Giant fan, but I love football. And when I watch their games, I'm like, man, they're pretty cool. Um,
Yeah.
I'm going to say this right now. I think the Ravens will lose this game playing on the road. Uh, that defensive coordinator is fired up. He's going to show his old crew that they messed up firing him. And I'm going to have the Giants winning that game 21-17.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's the exact same score I picked. I can't see it.
Well,
21-17. I got the Giants winning 21-17. I agree. I'm just picking the best team. I'm picking the better team. The Ravens, after watching them last night, they're terrible. They are terrible, Mon. I just, again, I can't. Whatever. I'm not going to get into that. I can't believe we lost that team. All right. So you have Giants 21-17 over Ravens. I have Giants 21-17 over Ravens. Who won this past week? You picked. Did you pick? Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I think we all picked the same, except we both lost the obviously the Bengal game we lost on.
The tiebreaker, right?
Yeah. I don't remember the exact scores that we picked.
We were both really close. I don't either. We were both really close. We're gonna have to go back to the archives. And
episode 24.
Episode 24. I think we were though really close on that Pittsburgh Steelers game because I think I had it 38-10, and they lost 38-3, and I think you had it at 31-3. So I don't know. Very close. It was something like that. But
We'll look it up. We'll look it up.
We'll go back in the archives and look it up. I'm still up 3-1. I got a comfortable lead. So, I feel good about that. All right. Bengal fans, that's another edition of the Bengals Pulse. Again, guys.
We got to pick the Bengal. We got to pick the Bengal score.
Oh, we do. We did not do that. Okay. Shame on me. I'm glad you caught me there. I think it's because my mind right now is just I got to get over the Ravens game.
You're looking at the
Bengals Saints. The Bengals Saints, Ma. Who do you got?
I have my dog walked in. I'm petting the dog. I'm sorry. Hey, Daisy. I have the Bengals.
Is that the one that bites?
No.
Okay.
This is my old dog. She's the best.
Oh, that's all right.
The Bengals are going to win 35-21. They're going to crack the 30 margin. Our offense is going to be our best game of the season. Joe Burrow returning to Louisiana. Him and Chase are going to be special that day. I think the Bengals coaches are out to get the love of the fans again. We're going to score 35 points. It's going to be 35-21. I do expect the Saints to score some points and run some, but our defense is going to, show up and try to contain that. But we win 35-21.
I have Bengals winning 31-10. And again, I'm just gonna keep picking that 30 score because eventually this offense has got to get going, right? This is going to be the week, though. I truly believe this is going to be the week. The Bengals have got to start off fast. I really think now there's being pressure put on Coach Taylor with this play calling thing. I think there is going to be some kind of a change. I wouldn't be surprised if Callahan takes over those duties, but it's going to be interesting. I got Bengals 31, Saints 10. Listeners, guys, hey, write in blow up the comment section, please. We want to hear your thoughts on last night's football game. Again, there is, trust me, there'll be no love lost here. We want to hear what you guys have to say. Speak your truth. Again, it's good to get that stuff off of your chest. That's what real fans do. That's what real fans need to do. I really do believe in this coaching staff. I think they'll get things turned around. They better, Mon. They better because, there's a lot of money invested into this organization now, and there is a lot of expectation on this organization now. Coach Taylor needs to find a way to get this offense going. All right, Bengal fans, that is another edition of the Bengals Pulse. This time, I mean it. If you liked this podcast, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this podcast. Check us out on Apple, Stitcher, and Spotify, all the other podcast platforms. If you enjoyed listening, please give us that 5-star review. We very much appreciate it. Follow us on Twitter at Bengals Pulse _9 and on Instagram at the same without the at Bengals _Pulse 9. Again, guys, hit us up in that comment section. Let us know what you think of the game. Let us know what you think of the play calls. Again, it's good to get it off your chest. Let us know. And make sure you check out all of the great podcasts on the Wincinnati Podcast Network. Once again, guys, another edition of the Bengals Pulse. He is Maan. I am Jake. Let's get win number 3, Maan, this week. Let's get it done, all right?
Yes,
you and
sir.
I. You and I.
All right.
You and I will get this
See
done.
you guys.
Good day, Bengals.
Make it happen.
All right, we'll see you.